The Magical Garden, written by Adrita Goswami. Chapter 1. The Mysterious Hollow Tree. There once was a pretty little girl named Eva. She had a cute gray squirrel with a bushy tail for a pet. The squirrel loved to eat chestnuts, so Eva called him Chestnut. Eva's favorite pastime was to play with the squirrel in the park. One spring evening, Eva took Chestnut to the park to play with, as usual. The spring breeze was making the bright green leaves in the trees sway, and the birds were chirping merrily and making sweet sounds. Eva and Chestnut were playing hide and seek. The squirrel went to hide inside a hollow opening in a tree when Eva closed her eyes. Eva began to look for her playmate, but she could not find him anywhere. She searched for Chestnut for a long time. The park became quiet as the sun began to set, but Eva was determined to find her bushy friend Chestnut. She wandered about in the park, searching for her pet. While wandering around the park, Eva happened to see a large, old, hollow oak tree. Seeing the tree, she wondered if Chestnut could be hiding inside it. As she curiously peered into the darkness, she discovered a secret passage. She went through the passage looking for Chestnut. Chapter 2. In the Magical Garden. The mysterious passage led Eva to a very beautiful place filled with countless flowers in bloom and colorful butterflies fluttering about everywhere. A gentle breeze carried the sweet fragrance of flowers. Little Eva could hear the sweet song of the birds in the mysterious place. She was entranced by the beauty of the magical land. Suddenly, she saw little Chestnut running towards her. The squirrel climbed on her shoulders and pranced about on her head. Eva was delighted to see her best friend. Chestnut told her how he had come to hide in the hollow of the oak tree and had come to find the magical garden. Eva was taken aback to hear Chestnut speak. Chestnut led her on to walk about the magical garden. Eva was amazed to see a group of butterfly fairies playing around a clear and transparent crystal fountain. The silvery water of the beautiful crystal fountain sparkled in the bright moonlight. In the clear and white moonlight, Eva watched wonderstruck as the fairies played with rainbow-colored water bubbles. She figured out that the fairies were playing a secret game, and her curiosity led her closer to the fairies. She asked them, "What are you playing?" The fairies giggled playfully and sprinkled magic water on Eva. She began to shrink in size until she was as tiny as the fairies. Chapter 3. The Land of Vanessia. The fairies grouped around Eva with bright smiling faces and pleasing smell of exotic perfumes about them. They asked Eva who she was and where she had come from. Eva was feeling a little sheepish and heady from the events of the past few minutes. She looked at the fairies dreamily and told them how she had reached there through the trunk of the hollow oak tree. "Welcome to Vanessia," the fairies cooed to her. They led Eva and Chestnut onto a magical tour of Vanessia. Eva was amazed to see many magical creatures that dwelt in that wondrous place. The lissom fairies and busy butterflies, the singing birds and the dancing bees, prancing crickets and magical rabbits that disappeared into hats and came out of cheering squirrels' ears entertained Eva and Chestnut. They danced, sang, and shouted their greetings to the lucky duo. Eva was amazed that every creature in Vanessia could speak just like humans. The bees filled honey inside a tender buttercup flower, and a bunch of butterflies grabbed the flower with their dainty legs and flew to Eva. She held out both her hands and watched in amazement as the butterflies carefully placed the flower in the middle of her palm. But they could not stop a little drop from falling onto little Chestnut's nose, who was playfully prancing about with his new friends. The rabbits pulled out delicious nuts one by one from inside their hats and laughed wildly as they aimed the nuts at Eva and Chestnut. Eva caught one of the nuts and threw them back at a rabbit, who scurried away, still laughing wildly. Eva was greatly pleased to be in the magical garden of Vanessia and smiled and with everyone. Her magical friends told Eva that Vanessia had a queen, the kind and caring enchantress Vanessia. The fairies whispered in her ears that was not all. There was a dark secret to the magical land. There was an evil bat king called Darkwing who wanted to rule Vanessia. Eva became thoughtful about how every place had its own charms and hidden threats. That day was a special day in Vanessia, the festival day. Queen Vanessia had invited all her subjects to the flower palace to celebrate the special occasion. Eva curiously asked what the special occasion was. The fairies replied that it was the day of the full moon festival in Vanessia, a festival that was celebrated by the residents of Vanessia to honor the magical powers of the moon. Eva was pleasantly surprised to hear of the festival and was restless to attend the celebrations. Chapter 4. The Wonderful Flower. Suddenly, the fairies surrounded Eva and said, "Come now, and let us get you ready for the celebrations. Then you will be finely dressed to be introduced to the enchantress." From thin air, the fairies pulled out a fabric of butterfly silk. Eva watched in wonder as the fairies snipped and cut and stitched a fine dress of butterfly silk in no time. Soon, Eva found herself disrobed as the fairies put fit the new dress on her. Some other fairies had meanwhile woven a garland of fragrant flowers that they flung around Eva's neck. Eva was looking just as pretty as the fairies. She was overjoyed to attend the wonderful fairy festival in her new dress. The fairies led Eva and Chestnut, who was also sprinkled with sweet floral perfume for the occasion, onto a beautiful garden. Eva had never seen a lovelier garden. The flowers in the garden were even more beautiful, and the butterflies that fluttered about were bigger and brighter. The fairies pointed to a gorgeous flower with a magical halo. "Oh, what a wonderful flower!" gasped Eva. A big dewdrop shone like a diamond in the middle of the unique flower. "This flower is so lovely. I have never seen anything like this before," Eva said to the fairies. "This flower holds the soul of Vanessia," the fairies told Eva and Chestnut. "It lights up our fairyland with magical vibes and safeguards our lives." Eva and Chestnut were amazed to hear about the magical qualities of the exotic flower and glimpsed at each other in amazement, shaking their heads in disbelief. The flowers then led Eva and Chestnut to the Palace of Flowers, where Enchantress Vanessa ruled the magical land of Vanessia from. The flower palace sported magnificent flowers as adornment, and it was brightly lit by fireflies that busily wove patterns of bright lights across the facade of the palace. The enchantress suddenly appeared out of nowhere and smiled mysteriously at little Eva and her companions. She was wearing a dress made of butterfly silk that was more beautiful than any other dress that evening. She spoke to Eva in a honeyed, musical voice. "Dear Eva, come with us and enjoy the full moon festival." Eva was taken aback by the beauty of the enchantress, but she remembered her manners just in time to thank the Queen of Vanessia before she looked away. She then joined the group of fairies to enjoy the merriments of the evening.